Hi, I'm Elizabeth Olson. I'm a certified financial planner here at Financial Consulting Group 360. This video is 2 of a 3-part series focusing specifically on real estate as an investment. In my last video, I talked about how many people can quickly build wealth by owning a home or another form of real estate. That's the good news. The bad news for some people is that real estate is frustratingly illiquid. It can be hard to access the equity in real estate. Let's consider options for accessing the equity in your residence first. In our first video, we bought a house for $500,000 that's appreciating at 4% a year with $100,000 down, financing the remaining $400,000 with a 5% 30-year mortgage. In year 5, you decide you'd like to access the gain that you have. So we projected that your home would be worth $608,000 and you would owe about $367,000. Means that you have $241,000 of equity. Now your original investment or your money down was $100,000. So your gain would be $141,000. Now remember, that doesn't count closing costs or commissions. So if we subtract, just for round numbers, subtract $30,000 for commissions and closing costs, you would end up with a net gain of about $111,000. With a home that you've lived in for at least 2 of the last 5 years, the IRS currently allows each owner to exclude the first $250,000 of realized gain. In other words, in this scenario, you would not pay capital gains tax on that $111,000 of gain. You, the seller, could use all the money you walk away with towards another house. No problem. You could take it and invest it all. You could put a portion of it down on a new house and invest the rest. No matter what you decide to do with it, the first $250,000 of gain would be excluded from capital gains tax on your primary residence. The important point here is that this exclusion applies if you sell your home. Selling or downsizing is another way to access the gain in your home. You have turned an illiquid asset into cash, which is liquid. Cash or liquidity is something that is easily accessible on a daily basis. Here are 2 other ways to access your home's equity. You could refinance and take some cash out. Or you could borrow against your home by taking out a home equity line of credit on your home. Now, both of these options assume that your credit rating and debt-to-income ratio are good. With a rental property, however, it's harder to access the gain you've accumulated in your property. First of all, very few banks will allow a line of credit on a rental property. So usually that option's off the table. You might decide to sell the rental. When you sell a rental property, the taxes can be significant. First of all, none of the gain from a rental property is excluded from taxes the way it is for a primary residence. If we go back to this example, if this were a rental property, you would owe 2 types of tax. If we go back to this example, assuming it's a rental now, not your home, you would owe, first of all, capital gains tax on the gain. Now, that gain might be taxed at 0, 15, or 20%, but let's assume middle of the road 15%. You're looking at $16,500. Also, you've got to pay tax on the depreciation you've been taking on your house. If you've got a $500,000 house, we might assume $100,000 is land and $400,000 is the house itself. And over a 5-year period, that depreciation that you've been taking is about $73,000. So that depreciation recapture is taxed at higher ordinary income rates. So if we assume, again, kind of middle of the road, 22%, you're looking at a tax of $15,840. for a total tax of roughly $32,340. So taxes have reduced that $111,000 gain quite a bit. Now, it's still good though. You still invested $100 and walked away with $60-something thousand of profit. That's great. You just have to remember that you've got the tax man to pay. And let's say you decide not to sell in year 5. The years go by, your property increases in value, your tenants pay their rent on time, the gain can continue to grow significantly. A savvy investor remembers that accessing the equity in a rental property can be difficult and expensive. It's often an all or nothing situation. You can't just sell one bedroom of your rent house. And real estate can be frustratingly slow to sell at a time when you really want to sell it quickly. If daily liquidity and being able to withdraw a small amount from your investment is important to you, make sure that you have at least some of your wealth in more liquid investments. Investment real estate, like any investment, has pros and cons that need to be weighed carefully before diving in. In my next video, we'll talk through times when liquidity is king. These examples are hypothetical and very simplified and used for illustrative purposes only. There are a lot of factors to consider that can affect the calculation of these values, like taxes, tax rates, closing costs, expenses, mortgage costs, interest, fees, etc. Understanding all these factors is crucial to calculate accurately long-term capital gains tax and that depreciation recapture. We recommend that you consult a tax professional to ensure accuracy in these calculations. They can really guide you on how to account for various factors that can impact that depreciation amount and provide advice on optimizing your tax benefits. Real estate tax laws and rental property depreciation are complex topics and they can change periodically, so always consult a qualified tax professional for your particular situation to ensure you adhere to IRS and tax rules. I'm Elizabeth Olson with Financial Consulting Group 360. If you want to talk through your own situation in more detail, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll see you at the next video.